Welcome to RHI Sociable City Interviews, where we meet with global thought leaders on nightlife and the social economy. Today, we are joined by Benton McDonough, Director of the Nashville Mayor's Office of Nightlife, where he acts as a liaison between residents, businesses, and city departments to address such issues as noise, public safety, cleanliness, and quality of life. He holds a law degree and has served in various positions in state and local government. Hey, Benton, so great to see you. I'm so happy that we're doing this interview. I'm so excited that we're coming to Nashville for our summit, and I know a number of other people are as well. But basically, why don't you just tell us about your background and how you came to be in your current position?
Yeah, thank you, Jim, and I appreciate being invited on here for the interview, and we're really excited to welcome everyone to Nashville. I think they're gonna have a great time, and I think they're gonna learn a lot about our city and about the nightlife here in Nashville. So we're really excited to show it off. But as far as my background goes, I was actually born and raised here in Nashville, and so I think that kind of gives me a really unique perspective of how the city has changed over the years to where it is now. Um, I attended the public school system in Nashville, and then I went to college at a public school just down the road from here. I graduated from Nashville School of Law back in 2009, and then started working as an attorney for the state of Tennessee for several years. And then I've been married now for 20 years, and to my wife Ashley, and then we have two young daughters, Lucy who's 10, and Lily who's 7. And one of the really cool things that I got to do when I was working for the state I was the director of the Office of Vital Records, and so I got to sign my daughter's birth certificate when she was born. So that was really neat experience. But from that point, after working at Vital Records, then I moved over to Metro Nashville with the Metro Beer Board and regulated the sale and transport of beer in Nashville, and I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of people in the nightlife industry through that. And based upon my experience with that department, I was approached in 2022 by the mayor's office to come up with an idea. They gave me a general concept, and they talked about the Office of Nightlife, and then it was basically I was supposed to take it from there to sort of put meat on the bones and that's excuse me, that sort of thing. And so I set off on a 6 month listening tour, and really from that point forward, it was really about working with local businesses and council members and the mayor's office, and really just having all of that support and a lot of the special interest groups, like the nonprofit groups here in Nashville. And so I think we've really put together a great collaboration across many of those different ventures.
Mhm. So, yeah, you're among the pioneers in this whole field of offices and nighttime economy managers. And I know most people who got the job very much like yours. Somebody heard about it and said, "Hey, why don't we do this here?" They hire somebody and they say, "You figure it out." So, what would you say your greatest challenge and your greatest achievement during the first year?
I've thought about that a lot lately. That I I think probably the biggest challenge was thinking long term and big picture, and not getting discouraged on a daily basis if something didn't work out, or it was about really cheering for the victories, and also not getting too down if we had something that fell through, or something of that nature. So it was really just being able to stay the course, and look for small victories along the way. And so that kind of snowballed, I feel like, into a lot of the different successful initiatives that we've had over the last couple of years.
Mhm. But what would you say you did the first year that said, okay, you were discouraged, but then you could say, I'm on a path. I have something that I've been able to claim credit for.
I think it's when I started working with a lot of the different groups, and because I remember, at some point feeling a little not not I guess lack of a better term, a little lost on really the direction to take the office, and I had all this information that I collected, and just trying to put it into a plan. And so I think that's where the support from a lot of our council members and the mayor's office came in very useful. And so I was talking to one of our council members about it, and it was Erin Evans, and she put me in touch. That's when she put me in touch with the Sexual Assault Center, and so that's when we started working on Safe Bar. And so that was one of our very early initiatives that we've had a lot of success on. And so I think just the importance of those forming those relationships early, I think that was critical to the success.
Yeah, so you established a good foundation. Now,
I think
speaking of
so.
foundations, your domain name is Music City, and and so you trademark that name and you claim credit for being a music city. But um, what is it that makes Nashville a music city, and how can they claim that title?
Well, I think when people think about Nashville and about Music City, I think they think about country music. And really, historically speaking, the term Music City actually came from a description of the Fisk Jubilee Singers when they were on tour, and so that's really where that title came from originally. But as far as making Nashville, a music city, I think it's the fact that maybe when people hear Nashville, they think country music, but really we have so many different genres in Nashville, and it's really growing by the day, and we have different venues that have different genres that they provide throughout the week. And so I really think that diversity in music, and the amount of uh, those different types of music really makes us a music city, because there's something for everybody here.
So it's not just country music. So that's something that people need to recognize before they come. And you probably
Right.
have some historic roots in black culture, black music, and would you consider more blues or jazz or gospel as a foundation outside of what is now traditional country music?
Yeah, well, I think really all three of those really contributed to building the foundation for Music City.
Hmm.
And so I wouldn't want to put one over the other, for sure. But I know the Fisk Jubilee Singers were the where that title started, and so I think that that particular genre definitely set the tone for making us Music City.
Hmm. Now you have some kind of iconic venues. I know was it the Raymond? Is one place that predates the Opera House, which a lot of people have heard about, and it was a TV show, I don't know if it's still running, but I remember growing up watching the Grand Ole Opry and what was the woman who wore the hat that still had the price
Minnie
tags
Pearl.
on? Yeah, Minnie Pearl. Yeah, yeah. So I think it's kind of built into the culture, particularly of some older folks. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of iconic places in Nashville that people would see if they come to the city and they explore. What would you name as a couple of the real classic iconic venues that really have some history to that music city name?
Well, I think you know I really don't want to leave anyone out, but I know some of the bigger ones, like you look at Third and Lindsley, that's a major site. The Bluebird Cafe, you think about that one, and that's where you have like the Garth Brooks and Taylor Swift's, people like that were discovered in that particular venue. And we have some of the newer up and coming ones like East Side Bowl. That's independent venue that we have that's relatively new to the city. So a lot of different venues that are served by they're supported by the Music Venue Alliance of Nashville, MVAN, and that's one of our great partners that we have in Nashville.
So you mentioned your sexual assault prevention. I know you've been involved with putting Narcan in all of the venues, from a drug overdose perspective. And you
Right.
have really one of the better organized entertainment, police entertainment venue teams or units. So you have a lot of focus on public safety. But how does your office support just the general music economy?
Well, it's like I mentioned with MVAN, and working with the independently owned venues, and so from the study that they did here in Nashville recently, just on the condition of the music venues in Nashville and in Tennessee. There's this clash between protecting the venues and keeping these historic locations and also progress from developers developing different parts of the city. And so I think we try to amplify the message from MVAN and show people the importance of having these locations. And one of the things that always strikes me is if you go out to Green Hills in that area, that's where the Bluebird Cafe is, and you have the Bluebird Cafe, which is a pretty tiny building situated next to this huge uh, structure that has condos and apartments and that sort of thing. And it's this really interesting comparison of really where Nashville is. And so you have this small independent venue that's surviving and hopefully will be here for years to come versus what we see now with progress and developers coming into the city. And so one of the things we try to do is really try to, like I said, amplify the message from MVAN, and we go out to uh, every year now they have a fundraiser called 615 Indie Live, and so we're a big supporter of that. We worked with them to gain free parking for their band members that are performing at MVAN locations, and so we created a partnership between Metropolis, the parking company, and MVAN to be able to provide that service to their musicians and also the musicians union on top of that. So we do a lot to really support the messaging and really the objectives of MVAN and the importance of protecting music in Music City.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So if somebody wants to start an office to support music, safety, independent businesses, from your experience, what would you say their first priority is?
I think a lot of it is really it was helpful to me anytime I reached out to council members, for instance, to see what the biggest issues were related to nightlife and their particular areas of town. And so that allowed me to hear some things that were going on, but also to find out which particular areas of the city needed the most attention. And so that was helpful. Also going around and doing the listening tour with meeting with the different business owners and different individuals with within the city, whether it's the city of Nashville or business owners or, anything of that nature. So I think just getting out there and, making as much contact with as many people as you possibly can, that I think that would be your number one priority.
Mhm. Now, I know that you started out as a sole leader of this initiative, but now you have three people who work with you. What are the talents that they bring? I mean, if you were to look at, you know, your team as pieces, what pieces does each person bring that makes it a whole in terms of an initiative?
Well, and I can tell you, it really goes back to why I thought they would be a really good fit with with our office. We have Herschel French, and I think he does a really good job of stepping back and looking at the big picture on things. A lot of times I get kind of focused on the minutia and that sort of thing, but he's kind of good, really good about stepping back and sort of making me see the big picture on that. And he comes from a background in counseling, and so I thought that would be a really good fit with working with mental health issues that come up in nightlife and that sort of thing. And so that's where we're creating a night school program like they have in New York City, and we'll be rolling that out next month. And so that's something that he's taken charge on and is really heading up and doing that. And then Kelly Kaplan, having her on the team has been incredible. She worked in nightlife. She several different bars, and so she has that connection with a lot of the people within the industry. I mean, I had the connections from regulatory standpoint from the beer board, and so uh, she just adds to that because she's actually worked day in and day out with a lot of these individuals, and so that has really been incredibly helpful to us and a lot of our initiatives and really trying to get the messaging out. Kanitha Price is our PIO, and I've known her just about my entire life. We went to school, grade school together, and really just having her perspective, not only as a woman, but also a part of the Black community. I think is incredibly helpful and provides a lot of insight to us to recognize that there's so much to the community that we need to provide outreach to and provide services and support. And so she's been an incredible member of our team, and I'm very fortunate to have all three of them as members of our team.
Well, this has been a great overview of all the great work that you're doing, and you cover a whole lot of bases. And I think you provide a foundation for anybody who's thinking about doing this kind of work in their city. And I'm sure that people will really appreciate what they learn when they come to visit. And I'm sure you put together a lot of really interesting sessions to share a lot of this work. So I want to thank you for taking your time today, and I look forward to working with you.
Same here, and we look forward to having everyone come to Nashville. So can't wait to show it off. So thank you for the opportunity.